The Prime Minister of Singapore is the head of the government of the Republic of Singapore. The President of Singapore appoints as Prime Minister a member of Parliament who, in his or her opinion, is most likely to command the confidence of a majority of MPs. In practice, the Prime Minister is usually the leader of the majority party in the legislature. Under the Constitution of Singapore, executive power is vested in the President. However, the Constitution also vests general direction and control of the government in the Cabinet. The President is almost always bound to act on the advice of the Cabinet or any minister acting under Cabinet authority. Thus, in practice, most of the actual work of governing is done by the Prime Minister and Cabinet. The office of Prime Minister dates back to 1959 and was appointed at first by the Governor of Singapore, then the Yang di Pertuan Negara, when Singapore achieved self-governance as the State of Singapore within the British Empire. The title of Prime Minister remained unchanged after the merger with the Federation of Malaya, Sarawak and North Borneo, while Singapore was a state in the Federation of Malaysia from 1963 to 1965. And after independence in 1965, the Prime Minister receives an annual total salary package that is twice the MR4 benchmark, or $2.2 million, which represents a reduction of 36% from 2010 levels. As there is no one to decide on the annual performance bonus for the PM, the PM's bonus will be based only on the national bonus. The Prime Minister is also on the MediSave cum subsidized outpatient scheme. The Prime Minister's annual salary was 3.07 million Singapore dollars before a salary review in 2011. On the 21st of May 2011, a committee was appointed by the Prime Minister to review the salaries of the Prime Minister as well as the President, political appointment holders, and members of Parliament. After the recommended wage reductions by the committee were accepted in Parliament, the Prime Minister's salary was reduced by 36% to 2.2 million Singapore dollars. Nonetheless, the Prime Minister of Singapore remains the highest paid political leader in the world. The Istana is the working office of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is also accorded the use of an official car that is subject to tax. The Prime Minister is protected by the Specialized Security Command of the Singapore Police Force, who also ensure the protection of the President, the other cabinet ministers and visiting foreign dignitaries. The Prime Minister also receives an undisclosed allowance for the maintenance of his office and for travel expenses. The Prime Minister is chosen by the President and is usually the leader of the majority party in the legislature. Since independence, this has been the Secretary General of the People's Action Party. The Prime Minister of Singapore chooses the other members of the cabinet by advising the President. The President must exercise his or her powers in accordance with the advice of the Prime Minister, effectively making the Prime Minister the head of the executive branch. The Prime Minister also, in recent times, can nominate the Speaker of Parliament. The Prime Minister leads the government in the policy of the day and as the leader of the majority party in Parliament, is responsible for passing legislation through Parliament. The Prime Minister also appoints the Leader of the House, who is responsible for arranging government business and organizing the legislative program in Parliament, usually under the directive of the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. The Prime Minister is responsible for overseeing the overall day-to-day affairs of the government and executing government policy. The Prime Minister can issue a proclamation of emergency by advising the President to do so. The President is obligated to follow the advice of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister can declare a defense or security measure, which extends to a declaration of war. The Prime Minister, followed by the Minister for Defense, the Permanent Secretary of Defense and the Chief of Defense Force, has executive authority over the armed forces, although the nominal position of Commander-in-Chief falls under the President.